have a model of the male reproductive system. The main organs are the testes, epididymis, the basal differential, seminal vesicles, the prostate gland, the urethra, vulvarotra glands, penis, and scrotum. The path of sperm begins in the epididymis. In a coil topping the testes, it receives and stores immature sperm for some days. Then the sperm is expelled from the tail of the epididymis into different ducts with ejaculation. Then the sperm travels throughout the spermatic cord into pelvic cavity over the ureter to the prostate behind the bladder. Then the vas deferens joins the seminal vesicle to create the ejaculation duct, which passes through the prostate and empties the urethra. Then the rhythmic muscle movements expel the sperm forward with ejaculation. Now I'm going to explain the structure and function of the organs that compose the male reproductive system. First, we have the penis. The penis has three main functions: for urination, for sexuality, and for pleasure. The testes are the most essential organs of the male reproductive system. They are the glands where the sperm and testosterone are produced. Then we have the scrotum, which is the key function of it is to maintain the temperature of the testes to almost 1 to 8 centimeters below the normal body temperature. Then we have the vas deferens. The function of them is also to transport the sperm from the epididymis to the ejaculatory ducts for the production of ejaculation. The vulvarotar gland produces a mucus secretion which serves as lubrication during sexual arousal. The epididymis is a long coiled tube that stores sperm and transports it from the testes. Then we have the urethra, which is involved in dual functions that are the transfer of urine out of the body through penile opening as well as the ejaculation of seminal fluid. The prostate gland plays an important role in male fertility. It is involved in the formation and development of sperms. And finally, we have the seminal vesicle. It holds the liquid that mixes with sperm to form semen. In the external genitalia, first we have the penis. This is the male organ used in sexual intercourse. It has three parts: the root, which attaches to the wall of the abdomen, the body or shaft, and the glans, which is the cone-shaped part of the end of the penis. Then we have the scrotum. This is the loose sponge-like sac of skin that hangs behind and below the penis. It contains the testicles, also called testes, as well as many nerves and blood vessels. The scrotum acts as a climate control system for the testes. Then we have the urethral orifice. Is the opening of the meatus of the urethra. It is the point where urine exits the urethra in males and in females, also where semen exits. And finally, we have the testicles. Besides sperm, testicles also produce male hormones called androgens. Androgens control how the male reproductive system grows and the development of masculine body features such as beards and a deep voice. Now I'm going to describe the source, function, and control of the following hormones. First, we have the GnRH. The source is the hypothalamus. The function is to stimulate the anterior pituitary gland to secrete the gonadotropic hormones that control the testes. It has negative feedback. The LH hormone is found in the anterior pituitary gland. Its function is to promote the production of testosterone by the interstitial cells. It has negative feedback. Then we have the FSH hormone. It is found in the anterior pituitary gland and the function is to promote the production of sperm in the seminiferous tubules. It has negative feedback. Then we have the estrogen that it is found in the testes. It helps the maturation of the sperm and it has positive feedback. And finally we have the progesterone that it is found in the testes, and its function is to promote the production of testosterone and it also has positive feedback. Here we have a diagram indicating where the hormone is produced, where it acts, and how it is controlled.
Now in the female reproductive system, we can find the organs of the uterus, the ovary, the fallopian tube known as the oviduct, the cervix, endometrium, fimbriate, and the vagina. Well, the function of these organs are the following. For the uterus, the function is to hollow a chamber in which embryo develops. Ovary, site of storage and development of oocytes. Oviduct, duct for transporting oocyte from ovary to uterus, also site of fertilization if it occurs. Endometrium, receive and prepare for the fertilized ovum, and then held from the placenta. Cervix, lower part of the uterus that opens into the vagina. Fimbriate, catch ovum which ovulated. And then vagina is the organ of sexual intercourse that produces lubricating fluids, also the birth canal. Now we have the female external genitals that are composed of the mons pubis, glans clitoris, labium majora, and labium minora. Well, the mons pubis function is that it works as a protection pad during intercourse. The glans of clitoris produces feelings of pleasure during sexual stimulation due to abundant sensory nerve and endings in glands. Labium majora enclose and protect other external reproductive organs. Labium minora form margins of vestibule, protect openings of vagina and urethra. Urethral opening passes for urine from bladder to the region near clitoris and vagina. And then the vaginal opening conveys uterine secretions to outside of body, receives erect penis during sexual intercourse, provides open channel for offspring during birth process. Now I'm going to explain the fertilization and where implantation occurs. Well, the fertilization is the third step of the reproductive process. First we have the ovulation, then we have the oocyte, and then the fertilization. And it is where the sperm meets and enters egg. And then in the almost the last step of the reproductive process, we have the implanting blastocyst, that it consists of a sphere of trophoblast cells and concentric cells cluster called the inner cell mass. It happens between 6 to 7 days after the reproductive process begins. The oocyte is produced in the uterine tube and well is the second step of the reproductive process. First, it starts with the ovulation. Then the oocyte, that is the egg, reproduces in the uterine tube, passing to the fertilization, then converses the sperm and passes after 3 days the innervating zona pellucida blastocyst cavity, and then it passes to the uterus as the implanting blastocyst. As we know, our brain is connected with all the parts and organs of our body, and in this system, the reproductive system, the hypothalamus generates the GnRH hormone that has a positive feedback, and its function is to promote secretion of FSH and LH that are other kinds of hormones, and the source of this hormone is the hypothalamus. Then we have the LH that is generate in the anterior pituitary, and the function of it is the ovulation. Maintenance of corpus luteum stimulates the testosterone secretion and has a positive feedback too. The other hormone is the FSH, and its source is the anterior pituitary. The function of the FSH is the growth of ovarian follicles, secretion of estrogens, sperm production, and has a positive feedback too. Then we have the negative feedbacks that the hormone of the estrogen produces, and its source is the ovaries and has the function to stimulate the maturation and release of ova, target muscles, bones, and skin to develop female secondary sex characteristics. And the last hormone is the progesterone, that its source is the ovaries. The function is that prepares the uterus for implantations of an embryo and maintains the pregnancy, and it has the negative feedback too. Then we have the ovarian cycle and the uterine cycle. First, the ovarian cycle is divided in 28 days and many phases. The first phase is the follicular phase, where the FH released by the anterior pituitary gland stimulates the development of a follicle in one of the ovaries. As the follicle matures, oogenesis is initiated and continues, and the pituitary cells of the follicle multiply and secrete the female sex hormones, mainly estrogen. As estrogen levels rise, negative feedback stops the secretion of FSH so that the follicular phase comes to an end. The second phase is the ovulation. The estrogen spike causes the secretion of the GnRH from the hypothalamus, which in turn causes a surge of LH from the anterior pituitary gland, resulting in ovulation on about day 14 of a 20-day cycle. Ovulation is the release of the secondary oocytes from the follicle and into the oviduct. The third phase is the luteal phase, and this happens after ovulation. LH promotes the development of the corpus luteum, which consists of the follicle cells left behind after ovulation. The corpus luteum secretes female sex hormones, mainly progesterone. Now we have the uterine cycles, and it begins with the menstruation that lasts from day 1 to about day 5 and consists of the breakdown of the endometrium with blood passing out of the vagina. The low levels of the female sex hormones cause menstruations to occur. Then the proliferative phase is from day 6 to 13 and consists of the build-up of the endometrium, which becomes more vascular and glandular. The proliferative phase is caused by the increased production of estrogens by the new developing follicle. The third process is the secretory phase. It's from day 15 to 28 and consists of the endometrium doubling or tripling in thickness and uterine glass, producing a thick mucus secretion. The secretion of progesterones by the corpus luteum causes the secretory phase. The endometrium is now prepared to receive a developing embryo. If fertilization and implantation do not occur, the corpus luteum will degenerate, resulting in lower level of the sex hormones that will lead to the breakdown of the endometrium and menstruation. In the uterine cycle, from day 1 to 5, the menstruation occurs on the ovary. In the uterus, the shedding of the endometrium and the hormones are not particularly certain. From the day 6 to 13, follicles develop in ovaries, while in the uterus, endometrium is restored. The estrogen rises to maximum and the FSH rises a bit. In the day 14, the egg bursts from the ovarian follicular cells, differentiates into the corpus luteum. In the uterus, endometrium gradually thickening, and then the estrogen drops sharply and LH surges. In the last phase that occurs in the 15th day and to the 28th, the corpus luteum is maintained slowly, degeneracy fertilization doesn't occur. In the uterus, endometrium thickness to maximum, and the hormones are destroying. Progesterone rises, then falls if fertilization doesn't occur, and FSH